So just ignore those little slides on the side. I had some other complications. That's a beautiful scene, beautiful, relaxing. Now, you know, the Spirit of Prophecy says in health and in sickness, pure water is one of heaven's choicest blessings. Its proper use promotes what? Our health. It is a beverage which God provided to quench the thirst of man and animals. Drink freely. It helps to supply the necessities of the system and assist nature to resist what? Disease. Ministry of Healing 237. We will find water in the New Start acronym. The third down, we know that N is nutrition, E is exercise, and water has a spotlight today. And we will find that acronym in Ministry of Healing on page 127, second paragraph, where she lists the 8 health laws: pure air, sunlight, abstemiousness, which is temperance, rest, exercise, proper diet, the use of water. We know we do it internally and externally. Trust in divine power. These are what? The true remedies. Every person, not just a nurse, not just a doctor, not just a medical missionary, but everyone should have a knowledge of nature's remedial agencies and how to do what? Apply them. Remind me of what the pastor talked about earlier today. Knowledge is one thing, but incorporating that, making it a living experience in your life is what we need now. So I'm taking most of my information in collaboration with Spirit of Prophecy from the book that I shared with you a couple of weeks ago, How Not to Die. I'm sure that if I asked for a raise of hands of who wanted to die, I wouldn't have anyone to raise their hand. But if I asked you if you wanted to learn how not to die, I do believe without a shadow of a doubt that everyone would raise their hand because no one wants to die. So this is by Dr. Michael Greger with Gene Stone. Now, you'd be really surprised. Dehydration or a lack of water can affect us in many, many ways. And this is a list, according to him: falls, fractures, heat stroke, heart disease, lung disorders, kidney disease, kidney stones, bladder and colon cancer. And a lot of times, you know, if you go to the doctor, they'll say, well, we're really not sure what causes this, but this is a running list. Urinary tract infections, and some of us have experienced constipation, dry eyes, tooth cavities, decreased immune function, and that's critically important for us in the day that we live in, and also cataract formation. But there is a controversy going on, and that controversy has to do with, and I don't know whether some of you may have run across this. You ever run across articles saying that you don't need to drink 8 glasses of water a day? Have any of you seen those? And that you can get water from all other sources, coffee, tea, milk. Is that pure water? I didn't hear that. Is coffee, tea, sodas, is that pure water? Okay, we're going to come back to that. One of the reasons that I'm really, really interested in water is because what I've noted is a lot of times when people talk with me about their health concerns, and even in mental health, that is something that we actually forget is water. We talk about the diet, we talk about nutrition and all kinds of things, but somehow water is left off. However, we all just finished our lunch and we had some good nutrients and the body is digesting it right now. But if you don't have good circulation, and with good circulation, you must have free fluid flowing. Will those nutrients get to the organs and the cells in our bodies. So water is a key transport of nutrients and also absorbing and flushing out waste. When you look at food pyramids, it was really hard to find one. This is a healthy vegan food pyramid. Do you see water on there? Look at your top left. Top left. Water, it says 8 to 10 glasses a day. There's a lot of good information out there that you can type in and Google or even other search engines. But you really have to be very, very careful, because I'm going to share with you today something that's happened to me years ago, and it was a good meaning medical missionary. That's why we have to assess the source. There are people who teach that we should eliminate salt, S-A-L-T, from our diet, sodium, right? I went down that rabbit hole. There's also people who advocate that you eliminate oils from your diet. However, what they fail to do is to communicate, or they don't even know it themselves. When you eat a balanced whole food plant diet, if you're eating a balanced variety, you are getting the salt. You're getting what you need. But if you're not eating, if you're on a junk food diet and you are not including fruits, nuts, and grains and vegetables, like we're told in Genesis, you're not doing a balanced diet. You can, and we can often, if we're doing eating our 4 to 5 fruits and 4 to 5 vegetables a day, you can get some water from those foods. However, you still need your dose. Now, I'll call it a dose because it's really kind of like a medication. If you don't get it, you're eternally a desert. Internally, you're a desert. Now, we talk about eating a well-balanced diet, but as I said earlier, that if the nutrients can't get to the organs, down to the cells, it doesn't really do us that much good. This is the inside of a body. You see those red lines? Those are blood vessels that carry the nutrients to the body. There are over 60,000 miles, 60,000 miles of blood vessels in the human body. That's a lot. 60,000. According to Dr. Greger, that's 2.5 times around the earth, that roads of blood vessels. Look closely, that's an arm. And you see the blood vessels on the ribs. And that's how it looked. That's why when you're cut or injured, you bleed. That's what's all under there. And this is just another area showing how the large blood vessels, arteries, go to the different organs. And that's the head, and also in the face. Have you ever seen anyone get injured and they have an injury to their face or their head and they just bleed profusely? Because there are hundreds and hundreds of blood vessels to the brain, because the brain uses 75% of the water that you intake. In fact, if you are dehydrated, that's kind of one key. If you feel a little fuzzy or you're not connecting the dots right, cognitively, you're kind of off, or you can't do your job, or you're having trouble memorizing things, let's check our water. So I'm back to the healthy vegan or the whole plant diet. Water, it is recommended to drink 8 to 10 glasses a day. Now, this was discovered by a researcher in 1921. And like I said, on the internet and Google and so forth and so on now, there are a lot of people who say that you can get the water that you need for your body in tea, coffee, sodas, etc. But I thank God that I had been exposed to medical missionary information and the health reform that he left, because being a person, I could just type into something and get that information and go with it and say, I don't need to drink any water. There's a lady that I know that told me she never drank water. When she came into the Adventist faith, she was a coffee drinker. She drank 5 to 6 cups of coffee a day. When she would meet different people and had not seen them in a long time, one person asked her, "What's going on with you? You look different." And the difference was that her skin color had even changed. She was much darker than the person recalled. And after she became an Adventist and embraced the health message and began to drink, she replaced all the coffee. She began to drink 8 to 10 glasses of water a day. You know what happened? Her skin color came back because the waste of her body was not being eliminated because she wasn't drinking any water. She was drinking coffee. And what is coffee? It's a diuretic, just like sodas are, because it has caffeine in it, just like chocolate. So you may think that you're doing yourself some good, but you're really not, because it dehydrates your body. So you cannot, that's total error. And we have to be careful, because we can be deceived not only just by doctrine in the faith, but also health doctrines. Now, back to the researcher who realized that he actually lost 3% of his body weight in fluid, because he measured his sweat output and his urine output. And that's a scientist for you. I don't know how he could measure his sweat output, but he did. That's interesting to me. And that averaged 8 cups of water a day. So then there were other studies. Harvard did studies, and they showed that there is extensive evidence suggesting that not drinking enough water may be associated with, and we listed those things, some of the things like the falls and the heart trouble, the urinary tract, etc. So low water intake is also associated with several other unhealthy behaviors. Generally, if you have low water intake, you're really not eating fruits and vegetables, and you're more than likely on a fast food diet, which is, we know, does not provide you with any nutrients. Now, according to Dr. Greger, since water is a natural resource, isn't it? It's a natural resource. You could go out here, and if you have some land, and they could do a research and dig you a well. Because it's a natural resource, it can't be patented. So there are very few studies. They generally do studies so that they can define and come up with a new medication. But they can't patent water because it's a natural resource. So they don't really do any exclusive research on, per se, water by itself. Oftentimes it comes in the information when they're studying other entities. So Harvard studied 48 men that were found at risk for bladder cancer. And they discovered that it was decreased, the risk of bladder cancer for a man was decreased 7% for every extra cup of water that they drank every day. Now, my brothers, I do believe that you would prefer to have 7% less chance of getting bladder cancer instead. I mean, if you would opt to drink 1 cup of water extra a day than to have bladder cancer. So they figured that if they actually drank 8 cups a day, that would reduce their chance of bladder cancer 50%. That's not a bad return. in today's world. So heads up, this is one reason to drink pure water. Now, here is the statement that this author makes. That's why you cannot often accept everything that a person says just because it's on the internet or it's in a book. There are many health advocates, and that I've said this on the internet or whatever, milk, tea, coffee, sodas, and juices. And they say that you can get the amount of liquids that you need every day. But health reform says we need pure water. There is a difference in pure water than water. Yes, there's water in milk. Yes, there's water in tea. There's water in coffee. But what are the other dangerous elements in those fluids? So probably the best evidence for specific recommendation for how much water we should be drinking comes from, as I had shared a couple of weeks ago, an Adventist study. Adventists have been doing health studies for many, many years. In fact, maybe some of you have participated. I see the two ladies. Did I see two hands over there? I know I participated in several studies. So this was an Adventist study, and they studied 20,000 men and women. And those who drank 5 glasses of water daily had about half the risk of dying from heart disease. They drank 5 glasses of pure water a day. But also with that, they were vegetarians. So more than likely, if they were vegetarians, they were getting some water from the fruits and vegetables that they ate, right? Okay, so you couple that. So like the Harvard study, the protection remained even after controlling the other factors like the diet, the exercise, and suggesting that water was a cause. Perhaps, and we do believe that it lowered the viscosity, the thickness of the blood. So when the blood has the right flow, it's going to be able to get to the organs, to the individual cells, because hundreds of thousands of cells is what makes up an organ. And each cell has to be really hydrated. Otherwise, it's not going to function normally. So unless you have kidney disease or heart disease where you're on water restriction, there is absolutely no reason that you should restrict yourself to water. Now, why do the minimum of 5? Why not do 8 and have the benefit of less disease? So what I'm going to share right now, let me see, will this cooperate with me? Okay, we'll leave it there. Okay. So what I'm about to share now, I'm going to list you some things that can occur that maybe you've experienced and didn't know that it could be the result of dehydration, not having enough water. And this is taken from a website called Planet Healthy. So when we lose water from our bodies every day through sweating, breathing, yes, we lose water when we breathe, crying, urination, and even through our number 2. We can get dehydrated easily. It is very easy for a child and an elderly person to become dehydrated. So that's why they have to really watch their intake. We had already stated that our bodies, our total body, is 60%, 70% water. So it's critical that we replenish them. You can have unexplained headaches. And I talk to many people call me and they want relief for their headache. And that's complicated because sometimes a headache could be allergies. It could be simply that people are not drinking enough fluids. But you know what everybody wants? Well, sister, what kind of herb can I take for it? I can recommend a lot of different herbs if you have an allergies, or I can recommend a lot of things for pain that are natural. But if you're chronically dehydrated, then that needs to be fixed first. And I'm going to share something at the end of this list that we can monitor very, very easily. Sister Marge, can you tell me at 30 minutes? I don't know. I don't have the time with me. Just raise your hand and something, let me know. Okay. Unexplained headaches, slow digestion. The food just lays in your stomach. And that brings me to another thing with the food thing. A lot of people say that they cannot eat without drinking water. They cannot eat without drinking water because their mouth is dry, or the food maybe is dry, whatever. It's because they are not drinking enough fluids outside of the mealtime. That is a big no-no in health reform, and I will share that with you shortly. Constantly thirsty. Now, healthcare professionals know that it could really be a state of a problem with blood sugar if you're constantly thirsty or if you're constantly urinating. So that would need to be checked. But that could mean that you're chronically dehydrated. Another thing of chronic dehydration would be dark urine. This is without the option that you're on medication, and some medication will change the color of your urine to dark. So we need to be really checking it out when we eliminate. If you're well hydrated, your urine should look like a slight tinge of yellow, like just lemonade, not dark yellow. The darker the urine is, the more dehydrated your body is. And if it's really dark, it means that there are organs in your body that are dying. They're in dire need of fluid. Muscle cramps, because when your intake is low of fluids, it changes the electrolytes. There are key electrolytes that we cannot live without: sodium, potassium, magnesium, etc. If those get off, this is particularly potassium, because potassium and sodium, the salt, balances each other. And so if you have muscle cramps, more than likely you are low on potassium. You get your potassium through your foods, your fruits and your vegetables. So if you're not eating fruits and vegetables, if you're eating a lot of grains, you're not getting the nutrients, the electrolytes that you need. Not sweating doing exercise. Any of you been out walking or doing your exercise and you just didn't sweat, even on a hot day? That is severely dangerous. That can be fatal. Not only can you have a heat stroke, because what does the water do? The water helps regulate your body temp. So this can be, as I said, it can be very dangerous. You have decreased energy levels when you're dehydrated. Cognitively, meaning in the mind, your thinking is fuzzy. And with children, they often show it by being irritable, fussy, and maybe sleepy, but really irritable when they're dehydrated. Another sign of dehydration is that you have frequent illnesses. You're always catching a cold, or something's always, because if you're not intaking enough fluid, where's the waste going? If we contracted someone to come and to clean the carpet, and normally they would need, I would say, a room like this, they may need, what, I don't know, 50 gallons of water. You see them with the hose hooked up to the water when they come to do the carpet, and if they use only half the water, do you think the carpet would be clean? No, it would not get clean if you're not using the right formula, right formula for the body. And this is a recommended, and it generally works out. And I'll deviate here for a minute. So you say, how much water should I drink? Do it according to your body weight. A clear-cut example is just, if you weigh 200 pounds, half your weight in pounds is how many ounces? So you weigh 200 divided by 2 would be 100. So you need to drink, the per 200-pound person needs to drink 10 glasses of water a day. And that could be easily divided. If you're having sugar cravings, the brain gets a different signal. Dehydration interferes with our body's ability to reach our glucose stores. And this can trigger craving for foods high in sugar and carbohydrates. And we love our sugar and our carbohydrates. Usually, and sudden cravings from sugary foods like chocolate, donuts, cookies, and candies may indicate that your body is in great need of water, not sweets. When I was working at Grady, I worked a lot on the midnight shift, and about 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning, when you come to work in the dark, and then it's the middle of the night for you, well, it's the middle of the morning, and you just want some fresh air. No system is really good to be in for 8 hours without any fresh air. I would be able to take a break and go outside. And even though I was near, 20 and all it was just refreshing to get out and even to breathe that air from the stagnant air in the unit where I was working, even though they supposedly had the air pressure and so forth and so on, but it was just a change of pace. So now you could also have low blood pressure if you're dehydrated, because the fluids are low, the circulation is going to be thick, the blood is going to be thick. And so it's going to move slow, and everything's going to drop. Also, joint pain. Joint pain cannot be totally alleviated by water intake by itself, but it can certainly help to lubricate the joints, etc. I think I saw a hand, but did I see a hand? Oh, 30 minutes. Okay, thank you. What is the actual time on the clock? How many? 20 till? 40 till. Okay, thank you. See, I almost forgot. I saw that and thank you. Yeah, okay. Dry skin, water hydrates and pumps up the skin, etc. Kidney problems. Not having enough water can lead to a urinary tract infection or kidney problems, etc. So now, let me share with you what Review and Herald says, July the 29th, 1884. Many make a mistake in drinking cold water with their meals. Just a minute. Okay. Taken with meals, water diminishes the flow of the salivary glands. In other words, when you see food, your salivary glands begin to produce the enzymes in your mouth because digestion starts in the mouth. But when you drink water, you dilute that. So you are diluting your body's natural avenue to break down the foods. So drinking colder water, like ice water or lemonade, is not a good thing. Likewise, and I'm sorry, I'm reading now, hot drinks are debilitating to the stomach as well. Never take tea, coffee, beer, wine, or any spirituous liquors. Water, again, she's saying, is the best liquid possible to cleanse the tissues. So I'm going to give you here 3 gentle ways. We're not pulling out the big guns because we want to have our foundation hydrated. So I'm going to share with you 3 ways to be hydrated. And we can do these without much ado. We can incorporate them very easily into our daily lifestyle. Many of you are probably already doing it. Starting your day with 2 glasses of lemon water, every 16 ounces of water of a lemon, or half a cup, but it's best to start with 2. Just plain lemon water. If you get the right lemons, whether you like bitter or sweet or whatever, sometimes you can find those lemons that are just perfect. And it's just really refreshing because lemons have vitamin A and C, and it really helps to detoxify waste from the body. So what you want to do is you just want to, you can advocate it to do early in the morning and also at night, if that's not a problem for you waking up, whatever. The second very simple technique to do is to add not just lemons, but some strawberries and cucumbers and let that infuse 4 to 5 hours or overnight in the refrigerator and take it out and start the day with it. This also will help jumpstart the colon so that you will not be constipated. You can also put chopped ginger, which because ginger is really good for the digestion and it's high in antioxidants. Now, those things can be easily incorporated. Number 3, making sure that along with the lemon water, etc., that we're eating our suggested recommended fruits and vegetables every day because they have plenty of natural fiber, and fiber is needed in the body as a broom to wash out the toxins. The third person I want to look at is Dr. B. Dr. Mahatma. I'm slaughtering his name, so I'm just going to call him Dr. B. Dr. B was a prisoner of war. He was a medical doctor. He was in prison. The other prisoners knew he was a doctor. There was one that had peptic ulcers. He came to him one evening and said, "Can you help me? You know, my stomach's in such pain because I had these ulcers." He had no medication to give him. He wasn't working in the pharmacy. He was a prisoner just like this other guy. Now, he himself had interest in water therapy before he was a prisoner. He recommended to the man to go and drink 2 glasses of water, 16 ounces of water every 2 hours. The man came back the next day. He had no pain in his stomach. He was amazed. And so until his death, he advocated that water has many cures. And why does it work? Because it rehydrates the body. As I was sharing with you earlier, water is an essential nutrient for the body. It is not something, it's essential because we can't make water. We cannot make water. We cannot even make vitamin C. This is why we have to get vitamin C from an outside source, and God gave us many fruits and vegetables that have vitamin C. Dr. B has a formula and written in his book, The Water, the many cures for water. And basically what it is water and salt, but it has to be a certain salt. But let me explain to you. And I refer to what I had stated earlier. Unless you have kidney or heart disease, then this protocol would be okay for you. And you cannot be eating junk food. You need to be eating fresh fruits and vegetables so you can get your potassium. Otherwise, you could really create some cardiac problems for yourself. So there are 3 kinds of salt that work best on this program, and that's the Celtic salt. That's a gray, moist salt. And then the pink Himalayan salt, we're all familiar with that. And then the real salt, etc., not the usual salt that you see with the little girl with the umbrella, because that's not the kind of salt that would work for this. He has many testimonies in his books of people who have gotten rid of migraine headaches, high blood pressure, etc. What you do is you start your day off with 16 ounces of water. Not water from a plastic bottle. He said water in a container, a glass container. These are the perimeters of his protocol. First, you get your 16 ounces of room temp water. Then you take 1/8 teaspoon of unprocessed sea salt, either the Celtic salt or the Himalayan or the real salt. You take that 1/8 of a teaspoon and put it under your tongue, moisten it with your saliva, and you swallow it. When you do that, it is going directly into your bloodstream. If you put it in your water and drink it, it will not work, because the way it has been explained is that our bodies are like an ocean. Our bodies are water, and then the deeper cells are filled with water. When you're chronically dehydrated, inside the organs, one brother may have a problem with cancer. This sister has a problem with high blood pressure, because that's the weakest part of your body. And that's the one that the water is not getting to. So you start with 16 ounces of water. You add, you take 1/8 teaspoon of salt, or unprocessed salt, under your tongue, mix it with your saliva, swallow it, and you're going to be thirsty, because that salt will make you thirsty. You then drink that water. You can do it 2 or 3 times a day. But to do a simple test to see if you're dehydrated, and I would hope that some of you would do that and share it with me to find out. And that test is, get up one day when you can monitor yourself, preferably a day that you're not working. Have your usual routine for your morning. Halfway, say if you finish eating at 8 o'clock, I would say about 10:30, 2.5 hours later, drink 3 cups of water. 3 cups. 3 cups. And wait 1 hour. You are dehydrated if you do not urinate any water. Your body will tell you, not me. Your body will tell you whether you are really chronically dehydrated. My understanding from his research is that to really hydrate yourself, doing a daily dose of the water with the salt, the unprocessed salt, is really going to take about 3 to 4 months. Many of us are dying because we are chronically dehydrated. Water is one of the cheapest things that we can get. We know that these other things taste better, but our bodies, God has created us, and we're fearfully and wonderfully made. And if we take care of them the way that he has advocated us, we will prosper and be in good health. I wanted to make sure that I had that. Okay, this is a note from him. Please note that simply drinking water is not alone a cure-all. We still need to consume the proper nutrients to have optimum health. We also need to avoid as much toxic exposure as we can. So likewise, we need to avoid consuming any exposure to poisons and heavy metals. Let me see, can I share this? When we take the unprocessed salt, this is what it does into our mouth. It is absorbed in the mucous membranes of the mouth. It goes quickly into the blood. There it is delivered to the body, and it is attracted to the outside of each and every cell of our body. When the sodium in the water outside the cell, the water inside, which is less concentrated, is attracted out, and the water out is attracted in. And that's what you want to happen. That's why he's saying that it does not work if you, his program does not work when you mix the salt and water together. You need to do the salt under the tongue and then drink the water separately. So I hope that we have a better understanding of our need for water and how crucial it is. We want to be thinking people. We want to, as the Bible says, we want to be wise as serpents and harmless as doves. And this is one way to keep our brains in tip-top shape. Daniel 1:12. Turn with me to Daniel 1:12. You know what Daniel 1:12 says. Daniel said to the eunuch, prove us and give us 10 days of pulse and water. Even in the Bible, he's asking for water. He and the Hebrew boys refused that delicious wine, supposedly delicious wine of the king. So if the Hebrew boys, if we would follow their example, we would be healthy, wealthy, and wise. So are there any questions?